David Payne's 2018 Melbourne Cup. Ace High's incredible staying effort to win the Victoria Derby has already got trainer David Payne thinking of the Melbourne Cup next year. Ace High's incredible staying effort to win the Victoria Derby has already got trainer David Payne thinking of the Melbourne Cup next year. But Payne admitted that halfway through the Derby last Saturday, he turned his back on the race believing his colt couldn't win. The stop-start Derby tempo turned the classic into a messy race with Ace High shoved 3 wide without cover a long way from home. "When that happened, I thought we had no hope," Payne said. "I started to walk away but then I looked over my shoulder and I could see the colt was still traveling nicely for Ty, England. I couldn't help myself, I had to watch the race." Davo's Melbourne Cup analysis. Cup tips, who the experts are tipping. Ultimate Melbourne Cup form guide. When Ace High cruised into the race on the home turn and hit the front halfway down the straight, Payne was still fearful the hard run would eventually take its toll, but the colt continued to forge clear for a stunning win. It was one of the more outstanding Victoria Derby wins in recent years and gives Payne hope the colt can develop into a Melbourne Cup contender next year. "He can have a rest now, get some sun on his back, and we will look at the ATC Australian Derby and the Queen Elizabeth Stakes in Sydney next autumn," Payne said. "The long-term plan would be the Melbourne Cup next year. I've never had a cup runner, but I think we might have the right horse with Ace High." The Victoria Derby winner used to be exempt from the Melbourne Cup ballot until a few years ago, which prompted me to ask Payne if he would have run Ace High in Tuesday's Cup if there was that opportunity. "I doubt it, I think it would have been too hard on the horse," Payne said. "He had a long campaign in Sydney and it is why I didn't race him between the Spring Champion Stakes and the Derby. He didn't need another run and he still had fresh legs for the Derby. We can wait for next year to have our chance at the Melbourne Cup." Skipton, 1941, is the last 3-year-old to win the Melbourne Cup. This might be one record that may never be broken. Fighting spirit. How did Sismontane win the Lexus Stakes? The Sydney stayer looked beaten on the home turn but rallied magnificently under pressure to ward off a series of challengers and earn a Melbourne Cup start. Sismontane is the very epitome of the Gay Waterhouse Adrian Botellic Lodge bone and muscle, as the rock-hard fit stayer thrives on racing. He might not be good enough to win a Melbourne Cup, but with 50 kilograms he is going to run a competitive race and can be in the top 10 finishers. Some are describing Tuesday's Melbourne Cup as the most even in years, as Tab fixed odds bets $8.50 the field, with Maramala wedging out defending champ Paul Manton as favourite. To add to the Cup conundrum is the World 11, the record equaling 11 Northern Hemisphere trained stayers in the field, which are largely unknown to Australian punters. Of this group, 7 have not raced in Australia this spring: Tiberian, Red Cardinal, Max Dynamite, U.S. Army Ranger, Nikita, Thomas Hobson, and Marie Kindling. The last international raider to win the Melbourne Cup without a lead-up run down under was Vintage Crop, the Irish stayer who pioneered the overseas invasion in 1993. Winks deserves top ranking. Arrogate's latest loss, his third in succession, and his farewell race, the U.S. Breeders' Cup Classic, surely means Winks deserves world champion status. Winks is on a 22-race winning streak, including her third successive Cox Plate last week, remaining unbeatable for nearly 3 years and collected 15 Group 1 wins, but she has been in the shadow of Arrogate for the last 18 months. Arrogate earned a lofty rating for winning the Pegasus World Cup and Dubai World Cup earlier this year, but he has been humbled in 3 subsequent starts, including his unplaced effort behind Gunrunner in his final race start. But the common-sense decision to send Winks for a spell means the mighty mare can't improve her rating enough to eclipse Arrogate's world's best figure. This is likely to give Arrogate the world's best racehorse title by default, highlighting the flawed rating system and bias towards Northern Hemisphere runners. Waller keeps winners flowing. Chris Waller raised the bat for a half-century of Sydney wins with a 5-win haul at Rosa Hill Gardens on Saturday. The Premier trainer has started the 2017-18 season on record pace, and with nearly 9 months remaining, he can threaten his all-time record of 169 wins set in 2015-16. Waller also enjoyed Derby Day success at Flemington with a stable Quinlan from Shill and Tom Melbourne in the Group 1 Kennedy Mile. Sydney-trained gallopers won 4 races at Flemington, with Ace High taking the Victoria Derby, Sismontane in the Lexus and Jean Sorgent's impressive Louvalava taking out the Wakeful Stakes. Star performer. The highlight of the Rosa Hill meeting was the stunning debut win of the team Snowden-trained juvenile Neutrality in the opener. Neutrality, by 2008 Golden Slipper winner Sebring, indicated he could be a contender for the world's richest juvenile race next autumn when he showed blinding speed out of the barriers, led comfortably throughout and romped home a very easy winner. The Rosa Hill program also produced the promising Waller-trained 3-year-old filly Unforgotten and Laybridge's talented Slow Burn, with both appearing likely to win better races. Kathy O'Hara tuned up for her first Melbourne Cup ride when she took riding honours at Rosa Hill with a treble on Black on Gold, Oh Lordy and Cars Off. O'Hara is the only female jockey with a Melbourne Cup ride on Tuesday, partnering pint-sized mare Single Gaze in the big race. Cup of Cheer. Melbourne Cup Day is always a big day on the NSW turf calendar, with 13 race meetings around the state on Tuesday. The Australian Turf Club is expecting a crowd of around 25,000 for the traditional Cup Day meeting at Royal Randwick. The week ahead. Monday, Bayina, Cora. Tuesday, Albury, Coffs Harbour, Dubbo, Gosford, Picnic, Kembley Grange, Murwillumbah, Muswellbrook, Nora, Royal Randwick, Sapphire Coast, Tamworth, Taree, Wentworth. Wednesday, Grafton. Thursday, Albury, Hawkesbury. Friday, Bathurst, Kempsey. Saturday, Kilburn, Newcastle, Rosa Hill Gardens, Tabulum. Sunday, Armadale, Warren. Originally published as Payne keeps Ace up sleeve for next year's Cup.